tried so hard. I'm a goofy goober, yeah.
Oh, man, this one's gonna be rough. The SKS isn't good. I was originally going to do a separate video entirely on the Alpha AK, but somewhere along the line I decided to compare the SKS to the Alpha AK in one video, seeing as they're both for the advisor class. So let's get into this. I adore the SKS. It's such a fun gun to use, and I can't exactly say why that is. Maybe it's just the way it feels, the way it looks, or maybe it's the way it sounds, but it's just so redundant. I really wish the gun was good, but unfortunately it's not. But I want to dissect this gun, pull it apart and break it down to see if it has any redeeming qualities at all.
I'm gonna rip you in half now.
That is such a juggernaut thing to say.
So sit back, get comfortable, and join me in this journey of heartbreak.
Look how they mess with my boy.
I could sit here and compare the SKS to a lot of weapons, but I'd be here forever if I did that. So like I said in the beginning, just for the sake of being simple, let's stay within the advisor class and compare it to the Alpha AK. I didn't want to compare it to the AKS 74U because that's just an entirely different gun altogether, whereas the Alpha AK is pretty much just an automatic version of the SKS. You guys know the drill by now. We'll compare the SKS and the Alpha AK in these categories, but we're actually going to take a look at two extra categories as well.
I don't give a fuck.
Its audible range, both suppressed and unsuppressed, and also the length of the weapon. That one was a little tricky to test properly, but I think I worked it out kind of okay. Let's start with damage. Neither guns will one-shot you to the chest, but I'm sure that was already obvious at this point. And the limb tests were exactly the same. They were both 5 shots to the foot, 2 shots to the legs and arms, and 3 shots to the hand. Next up, penetration. These were identical also. Wood and metal were both 2 to 3 shots, and concrete was around 4 to 5 shots. And to just quickly brush on the velocity really quick, the SKS has a higher velocity than the Alpha AK. It's somewhere similar to the AKM's velocity. So I'm going to give you an example where the SKS's velocity might be an advantage. Because the SKS has a higher velocity, it might help you penetrate a surface at a longer distance of, let's just say 20 or 30 meters, because the bullet would be traveling faster for longer compared to the Alpha AKs. Okay, so let's just say for an example, you fire 1 bullet from the SKS at a target that's behind a sheet metal fence at around 20 or 30 meters away, and you hit them for, let's just say 60 damage. And then you repeat that exact same scenario with the Alpha AK, but you only hit the target for 50-ish damage. Yes, technically you've done more damage with the SKS, but either way it's still going to be a 2-shot kill by both guns. Unless of course that target was already low HP. Then I would say that the SKS might have helped you more in that specific situation to finish off the kill. Now let's move on to its audible range. So turn your volume up slightly so you can hear this a little better. Both guns were obviously still audible at 100 meters unsuppressed, but the SKS is clearly louder.
Oh, you've gone all quiet.
Both the SKS and Alpha AK were completely silent at 60 meters, so then we tested it by slowly walking closer to see when the weapons will actually become audible. The SKS is also considerably longer than the Alpha AK, especially with a suppressor on, so in CQB engagements this becomes especially obvious when you go to quickly peek a door or an angle of some sort. The last thing you want is to have your gun go up in the air. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. It's obvious by now that the SKS just isn't good, unfortunately, and it needs quite a few attachments for it to be even remotely usable. It has a 20 round base mag for some unknown reason, so an extended mag is a must in my opinion, seeing as it's a 2-shot minimum and locked to semi-automatic fire. A grip isn't super important, but I'd personally run it with the loading grip, seeing as it takes 4 years to reload, and the SKS is so goddamn loud that I'd almost always be inclined to use a suppressor so I don't blow out my bloody hearing. The iron sights are also awful in my opinion, so I'd use a sight as well. Hope you like spending money, my dudes, because you're going to spend all your pocket money trying to make this gun useful. Whereas with the Alpha AK, you could just slap a sight on it and call it a day. It would literally be fine just like that, but obviously kit it out however you like. Alright, so let's answer the question that we've already answered. Should you use the SKS?
No way. Not this time.
Look man, in terms of any sort of practicality, no. But if it's purely for the aesthetic and coolness factor, then absolutely.